Okay, I figured out my key to success, now I'm locked in. I learned how to open doors like a locksmith. I'm uptown, I'm the one they wanna shop with. Run off with the bag, even though we don't shoplift. All that gun talk y'all want, I'm not with. It's not cool, everybody got them long clips. You gon' mess around and get one of your dogs hit. And when you do, I hope you know you're not John Wick.
What up? Welcome back. You're locked in with DK and Atwood. I'm Atwood, killer to my left. DK, last week didn't do an episode.
Dude, it's been a while since I've been on here. So
you were on the one before last time.
was I? I felt like I wasn't, man.
Well, that's just
like
because I think it's just because
Kenny.
we skipped a week.
We skipped me with Kenny because I was gone.
Yeah, but you were here the time after Kenny.
And it just feels like so much longer.
Yeah, it does feel like forever. Just skipping last week. So we had like a tropical storm. We thought was going to be worse than it was. So
dude, it had like 40 miles per hour winds.
Yeah, well, that's nothing. Yeah, I thought that. I didn't think it was
40
the
miles
wind.
an hour winds.
I thought it was going to be the rain.
And it's the rain,
Yeah.
dude. And so we have to deal with rain coming in underneath in the windows because we have a I don't. If anybody's ever seen the Academy, and we have a YouTube channel as well. I haven't posted on it in a long time, but I have some videos on there. It's called The Next Element Academy, obviously. But I don't know if you can see there's some, we have a front glass wall pretty much, right? And it's windows from about 10 feet up, 8 feet up, all the way down to the ground. And it was built in the 70s. This building was built in the 70s, so it's like that. They aren't hurricane rated,
Right? Yeah.
And the track, I guess, they're metal tracks. Inside of it is supposed to be this kick out that's supposed to kick the water back outside if it does get in there. But man, those things are just so old, and I'm pretty sure, even though they're aluminum, they're probably messed up somehow.
Yeah. Did you guys get any water in here?
Yeah, we did. We got water in, but now we have two dehumidifiers in this room and like 2 in the back room. And then we have these floor, like water, dry carpet and stuff. Yeah. So we just put those right there and just trying to just keep it dry as possible. And we kept classes rolling, didn't have to cancel any classes.
Nice.
At all.
Nice.
So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I just thought that it was going to be a lot worse. I'm like, well, last thing I really want to do is when in a fucking downpour unload all this pot equipment and then load it back up. So we did skip last week for that reason. But, it is what it is. Picking up the ball again. And so last night I watched, I think it was the first episode of the new season of Dana White's Contender Series, right? And one thing I like about that show, and I think probably fighters might like it a little bit more than the Ultimate Fighter, because it's just one fight.
Here's what I think. Yeah, I think it's going to start swinging from Ultimate Fighter.
I think that
I don't think
as well.
Ultimate Fighter is going to.
Well, I think that they also said last night on the broadcast that there's like 30% of the fighters in the UFC now came from Dana White's Contender Series.
Wow.
There's just a ton of them.
Wow.
And I mean, think about it. Like, there's been some really good guys. Some of them champions now that we've seen come from the Contender Series. Right.
Joe Selecki.
Yep.
Francis Marshall.
Yep.
Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Yep.
Oh, that's you, bro. Man, I mean, you can just keep going on.
There's a lot, dude. And, last night was a great night to watch.
Yeah, and so that's kind of brings up a good point. The Contender Series and getting on the Contender Series. Having the connections to get on the Contender Series.
And one thing I like about it too is you don't get in if you just win your fight. Like he's looking for a certain person.
Yep. And see, and that's better than the Ultimate Fighter because here's what happens in the Ultimate Fighter, man. Guys get put on that show because of their antics and their viewings and ratings, right? And dude, I was 6-2 and made it all the way through, and I got to got fly back out there 2 weeks before the show started, and this was season 15. I got called and told that my record wasn't good enough.
That's crazy.
Right? And dudes like, who was that? Mike, some Vic.
Mike Vick?
No, not Mike Vick.
Or
Vic.
Swick?
No, Vic. He's like, he was the fighter. Me and you talked about him before.
The tall guy.
Tall dude.
Yeah, it's
not Mike Vick, is it?
No, it's something Vic, though.
Yes.
Something Vic.
Man, we're some
Is
experts.
it James Vick?
Yeah, James Vick.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that Justin Gaethje knocked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think he was there, but he was only 3-1 at the time, dude.
That's crazy, dude. Like,
You
you were
know?
6-1?
I was 6-2.
Dude,
man.
you see people go on the Ultimate Fighter
6-2,
now.
never had been to a decision ever, even with a loss and win. All finishes, 6 finishes. You know,
That's
6
crazy.
finishes, 2 lost by finishes. You know, and I got told that my record wasn't good enough. Yeah, which was really good. You know, I mean, which I was kind of I was kind of like, oh, because man, I was jumping through hoops to try to get out of, because I was active duty Air Force at the time. I was trying my best to be gone for. I mean, I was gonna have to be gone for months.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think that they would have even allowed that to happen if you got chosen?
Dude, so we had a guy that was in my unit got picked for Top Shot. Remember, you know that TV show? It was on like History or A&E, something like that. It's called Top Shot. Yeah. Anyways, the same producers for that show also produce The Ultimate Fighter, which was so crazy. So one of the guys, I mean, he ended up going through, you know, a pretty good, and I done forgot the guy's name or whatever, but he made it through a long ways, and he was like he was good for TV, you know. He was a smart ass, and he'd talk about crushing stuff all the time, and so just crushed it, you know. And anyways, he was a Air Force guy, Air Force cop. Anyways, he told me to talk to the producer. Well, the last round, I talking to the producer, I was like, oh, so-and-so told me to tell you hey or whatever, you know. He's like, what? And he was like, yeah, he's in my same unit, whatever. But so they let him go and do a Top Shot, but I don't know, man. You know, who knows? Who knows, dude? And that's the thing is, like, I remember going up to we had a colonel, and he was our wing commander, which is in charge of multiple different squadrons, right? So he's higher up the chain. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to him, and I'm like, I didn't get picked. He was like, man. He was like, dude. You know, he was like all on board. And Colonel Owens is his name. And he'd know you by your first name, dude. Like, I mean, I don't know, he just knew everything about you, and you knew your family, knew what was going on with them. And that's a really good sign of a leader, you know, or people that take care of their people, you know. He wasn't very liked throughout the whole squadron, but, man, he never did wrong by me. And I was very grateful to have him help me out, because I mean, dude, it was on the way up to the Pentagon, you know.
Yeah, it's in watching the Contender Series last night. You know, it's always, I like it because I know more than likely I'm going to learn of somebody new that I really like when watching it, and that happened the very first fight. Yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me the other dude's name, but you had a guy that trains at MMA Lab. Benson Henderson's his coach, was in his corner. He fought a dude from England. I believe his name was Laurie Kavanagh, and they're flyweights. And, dude, it didn't last.
It was Laurie, right?
Long.
Laurie was the killer?
Yeah. Well, they're both very, very good. And I think they were both undefeated, like 9, 10-0, even maybe 11 or 12-0. But, dude, that Laurie guy is a fucking monster. And I really think.
Where's he train at?
In England, somewhere. This is his first time fighting in the States.
Yeah, but I wonder what part, obviously.
Oh, I have no idea. I think his accent sounds more like a London accent. But then again, like, I'm no expert. Who fucking knows?
London Shoot Fighters is a big popular.
Is it? Yeah. Is that where Leon?
I want to say that's where Leon.
Yeah, I think that's where Bisping trained as well. But yeah, the guy's gonna be fucking good, man. And I think he's going to be good for the flyweights, you know, because they've always been, I guess, looked at as like not very exciting. Even though I think watching the smaller guys fight is always
well, you don't see as many knockouts.
You don't see as many knockouts, but dude, they don't really get tired. They are fast. Like that's the kind of fighting I like.
Yeah, and it's like action. Yeah. It's like your phone. You know, right, it's like you constantly just keep on scrolling.
With heavyweights, it reminds me of like the old what is it? Used to be a game where you had a ring and they just like
Rock'em Sock'em, bro.
Rock'em Sock'em. Yeah, it's just like you're waiting for the one hit that might not be the fastest.
Speaking of the way your hands are, I saw a video of Chuck Liddell. Have you seen him lately? Oh man,
bad, huh?
It's bad.
I saw him fight Tito the last time, and I was like, dude, neither one of them should be.
No, bro. His belly, bro.
Oh,
it's like
alcohol.
It's a gut, dude. He's got a gut on him now, man. And it's just, I mean, I saw people making comments or whatever about it, and people were like, man, people talking about his belly. He's 54 years old. I'm like, so is Joe Rogan.
Yeah, dude. But to be fair, dude, Joe Rogan has the HGH gut.
Yeah, he's definitely got well, that could be muscle stacked on top of each other, bro.
It could,
I
but
mean, he's been.
It's not. Like, I don't think it's natural.
This guy, he's definitely on TRT.
Yeah,
100%. Like he even talks about.
I think he's been on more though.
He may have, and he's perfectly capable of doing. He can do all that, but he is core from doing kickboxing and doing those twisting and kicks so much. And jiu-jitsu, for as long as he's been doing it, his core is probably
steel.
And he does his breath work and everything, man. So that it's probably just muscle just stacked on top of each other. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Chuck Liddell's
Liddell's gut. His definitely is not muscle stacked on top of each other. But remember he had a gut back when he first started too, though. You know,
he had a 6-pack too, but
he had a 6-pack, but he had a little bit of a gut, you know. But like,
he's been a partier too.
He was like showing some moves and stuff, or whatever. He was like showing some strikes or whatever, and I was just like, wow, that.
It reminded you of the Rock'em Sock'em.
Yeah, dude. Because that's the way he holds his hands. He holds his hands like this right here, you know.
Yeah, I've seen like videos of Chris Lieben showing stuff too. And like the way he kind of moves his head, it kind of reminds me of Batman because he doesn't turn his neck.
No head.
You know,
dude, my neck
does this little number.
That's the way I turn now.
But seeing him like teach people combinations and like you know, Chuck Liddell and Chris Lieben, both old school fighters. You know, the game's changed a lot since they were fighters. Probably not as much defense back then, you know.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know, it's like so you can tell when they're teaching their techniques.
So first UFC was all about toughness, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously the more skilled fighter is going to win, and I think that's what people started to learn is like, oh, the more skilled fighter is winning, not the tougher fighter now.
Right.
But like in the earlier UFC, I mean, look at Tank Abbott.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't. Tank Abbott was just a ballroom brawler, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That just come in there and knock people out with a pair of freaking champion knit shorts on with pockets.
Yeah.
You ever seen? You should, guys, go back and watch Tank Abbott. He's wearing like knit shorts down to his knees, bro. His pockets hanging out, and he just gets in there, boom, knocks dudes out, and then looks out and makes fun of them like because they're stiff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, bro. And that was just, but then when skilled fighters started to fight him, he obviously didn't last, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I think the toughness at the beginning, and that's what got me by, man. I was not a very good skilled, I don't look at myself as a skilled fighter. When I first started out, you know, and maybe that's why I didn't get picked up too, but I don't know. Maybe it was because I didn't have enough. I only have one TKO, and the rest were all submissions. You know, I don't know if that's a reason or what, but who knows, man.
Well, regardless,
which is something to say. I mean, my first fight was a TKO win, and then it was a 5-fight win streak. not a 5-fight win streak, but a 5-fight submission. You know,
that could have had something to do with it. The fact that you were just submitting people.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
And they're
dude.
trying to get into more exciting
and plus,
fighters
dude,
and stuff.
It's so
who
much
knows?
more than that when it comes to television.
Oh,
you know,
I know,
at the end of
man.
the day, they have to bring ratings.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably people that they've brought onto that show because their interview went well. Like their interview was more impressive than their fighting, and they knew that it would bring records.
We've seen it, dude.
Right.
We've seen it over the years.
Yeah.
The first Ultimate Fighter was the best one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
that. I mean, dude, from ratings and personalities to actual good fight, it was great.
You get to see what they're training like. Oh, they're training like this. They're doing these workouts like that. That was the first time I had really ever seen like the workouts that they were doing. I was like, oh wow. And then they started doing behind the scenes things. The UFC started doing behind the scenes things. They showed Rich Franklin. He had his like little garage or his basement or whatever. He'd do treadmill workouts and stuff. And I was like, oh, treadmill workouts. Because they did it on Ultimate Fighter too, or the first Ultimate Fighter as well. They did the treadmill interval.
Yep.
So I started doing treadmill intervals and different things like that too. And
that was really breaking them too, man. Like, Diego Sanchez and Chris Lieben probably did the best. But Chris Lieben after a night of drinking too.
Oh yeah, that I don't know how he did it, man. Bro. I don't know how he did it. But I mean, so I used to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off on my treadmill routine, and it'd be at 10% incline at 10 miles an hour. 30 seconds on, and man, when that thing is moving at 10 miles an hour at 10%, it's like you're sprinting up a hill, you know, and then you hop off, and that it just keeps on going here. You get your breath back, and then you gotta like, you gotta catch up to it with your feet, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's constant. I mean, you get the 30 seconds off, right? But it's not really off because you're just exhausted, bro.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested in trying that, you know, don't kill yourself trying to do it, you know. But it's 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 10 miles an hour at 10% incline, you know, and you keep the treadmill going so you don't. I used to be like pause and then the treadmill slow down, but by the time it sped back up, it was like, man, 10 seconds is already gone, you know. So you're wasting time, or 15 seconds to get 10 miles an hour. And so those are little things I used to do at the beginning too. It made me just tough, you know, to where I'm like getting ready to fall off the treadmill, you know, and I'm grabbing onto it and pulling it back, pulling myself back up as my feet are just about to fall out from underneath me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's wild the things that you have to do.
You know, going back to the Ultimate Fighter and like guys, I guess, that have gone through that were up and comers at the time or whatever. You know, a lot of different personalities. When you think of like the Ultimate Fighter seasons that you've seen, and you think of like somebody who was a character, maybe they didn't even go to the UFC, right? Maybe they were just a toxic character, bad person maybe, but good fighter. Like, who comes to your mind?
Ooh, bad person but good fighter. Wow. Shoot, man. I'm not really sure. You know, because Lordy mercy.
Yeah, I'm about to take care of that.
Man, I'm not really sure, dude.
I can only think of like one person.
Who?
Junie Brown or Browning.
Junie Browning.
You remember him?
Yeah, man.
He was cool. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. What up? Love the glasses.
Love the glasses. You're
Thanks.
the shit, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you, bro. You're awesome.
No, you're awesome, man. You too, man.
Jeremiah Scott, ladies and gentlemen.
But Junie Brown, like that dude, like
Dude
had so
was a
much potential,
gangster, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he did have so
person.
much potential, man. Wow, they just like got rid of him so fast.
He had so much
like,
potential that Dana White didn't even want to. Dana looked for every excuse to keep that dude on the show. Gave him multiple excuses,
man,
or multiple passes, and the dude just kept messing it up. Dude.
I wonder what he's up to these days.
Well, it's funny that you brought that up, because a couple of days ago I had the same thought, so I looked him up, and I was gonna try to like get him on here with us.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So he went on to fight after the Ultimate Fighter. He fought in the UFC. I think he had 2 fights in the UFC. And then back to like local regional circuits or whatever. I think he went up in weight, but didn't really look like the same dude that was on the Ultimate Fighter. And I think that
brown hair now.
No, he still had blonde hair when I saw him. I think that's kind of like his thing. But I think the Ultimate Fighter kind of like changed his life in terms of, maybe people in the fighting space knew who he was, but I think everybody kind of looked at him just like, like a jit, just like a young little asshole,
yeah.
Because that's what he was, dude. The dude had a drinking issue.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it was great for television.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so the same way with that, what's that other dude's name, man? Just let me bang, bro.
Oh, Julian Lane.
Julian Lane, yeah.
Yep.
He's just stepping stone for people. He's like, oh, we're gonna bring this Julian Lane in I helped my buddy George Sullivan train for Julian Lane, and they brought him in to lose pretty much to my buddy George for the CFFC welterweight title. I mean, this many years ago. And
this was after the
after all that stuff. So it was newly after that stuff, but man,
you still have like the pink mohawk.
Yeah,
damn, dude.
Yeah,
I got to meet Julian for a ex-MMA thing in Colombia when he fought Austin Hubbard.
Yeah, I knew. I think. So that same season, right? That live season. I think the season Julian made it, right? I think.
Well, he's been in 2, but you're talking about the Let Me Bang season.
Yeah, okay, I want to say that was the season I was supposed to be on there. I can't remember, but I ran into him out in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's a wild dude, man.
Yeah.
Dude, still fighting though. Obviously, like I think that dude's probably one of those guys that'll fight until he can't anymore.
Well, I mean, so there's certain people in this realm of MMA or whatever, and that's all that they can do. They can just fight. They can't teach. They don't know how to teach. They don't know how to interact with people. They don't know how to be a coach. They don't know how to be not even really a student.
Yeah.
They just bounce around places and train here and train there. Not a leader. I don't think he's a real strong leader. From what I've saw him. And so people aren't going to gravitate to that, right? So you're not going to get a good following as far as like, oh man, like there's something in this guy. Like I want to attach myself to that and be similar to that and try to be something like that, And so as MMA fighters fall into that little realm of things and they forget about like their skill set that they have, that man, this is knowledge that you have that you're just going to waste. You're going to get older and you're not going to teach people what you've learned or anything like that. It's just going to fade away,
Yeah.
It's going to go into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, it's like I can take myself, right? I knew at the very beginning, I was like, well, fighting's not going to be forever.
Right.
And then my coach, Kurt Pellegrino, fought in the UFC, competed it in Abu Dhabi in jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, the guys competed at the highest levels in MMA and grappling. And he told me, he says, I would much rather be a world champion in jiu-jitsu than be a UFC champion. And the reason he said it was at the time I was like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a UFC champ. No. A UFC champ, it's just it. And you lose, guess what happens? That person, you're now the former champ.
Yeah.
As a world champ, you're always that world champ. You're the 2020 whatever world champ, 2019, 2004 world champ. You're that world champ. You were a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
nobody ever took that away from you, and people look at that and they hold that a little bit different than former champ and, you know, somebody taking the title from you, you know? And it always showed me that, like, being an instructor, being a teacher, and being able to, you know, pass on that knowledge to other people is going to get me farther in life than, you know, fighting is, you know. Like, after I'm done, obviously I'm done fighting. I was done fighting at almost 35 years old. And so I've been teaching nonstop, just teaching for 7 years, you know. And so it's wild how that whole guard changes, but like that. But some people, they stay the fighter and they just stay selfish. Yeah. Right. And they don't, you know, and then they'll just, oh, I don't feel like training, and they go away. Whereas people that, you know, they stay in the scene and they want to give back and show what they've learned and little different things right there, which ultimately builds the team up too, you know?
And some people, like, I know you've heard the saying, like, there's a difference between a boss and a leader. Yeah. Like, you can be a great student and a shitty coach. Like, you can be a great learner, but, you know, maybe you can't teach, you know, as well as it's, or as easy as it is for you to learn. Yeah. You know, and I've seen that with people that I know, not necessarily in like fighting or anything, but just in life in general. You can sit down and tell them how to do something, they'll pick it up like that. But if they have to sit down and explain it to somebody else, you know, for whatever reason, whether, like, you know, they just don't want to, or they just can't communicate, you know, whatever it is. I've seen that happen before. And Julian Lane, like, that dude, he is the definition of a prize fighter. The prize might not be that big, but that's why he fights, nothing else. Yeah. You know?
And maybe it is, maybe there is a different why in there, but, you know, just looking back, and I've been involved in this for 20 years now, you know, I've seen the fighters, what happens to the people that, you know, that they're just fighters. They're not, you know, they don't go and open up a gym and do different bigger things. They just stay in the scene maybe, and or not stay in the scene. They just get out of the scene and they're just done with it, you know. So, but that's I think, martial artist, fighter. There's two different things.
Yes. Yeah. Great.
Two different things.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And one thing that I think that is very important for fighters who are starting to get like a little clout, you know, kind of like what you said, you have to think about life after fighting, right? Like, that is the perfect time to start building your brand. Like, obviously you want to focus on your skills and honing your skills, but there's other ways that you could channel yourself to that can put money in your pocket consistently when you're not fighting and when you're done fighting. Yep. And I think that fighters these days are now starting to realize that. That's why you see them heavy on Instagram or making their own YouTube channels or merch and, you know, trying to get brand deals. Because that is what's going to pay your bills from years to come. Because it is a very small percentage of, like, how many fighters are in the UFC?
A lot.
And there's what, 15 or maybe like 20-something champions total if you're thinking about women's and men's? Maybe not even 20. I don't know. It's probably bad math, but you get what I'm saying. Yes. Like, a very small percentage of them are champions that are bringing in a lot of money, and the people that are bringing in a lot of money that aren't champions have paid their fucking dues, dude, and like have been through wars, maybe haven't even touched the belt, but they're exciting.
I mean, let's talk about Dustin. He's touched it.
Right.
He's held it.
Right, yeah.
I mean, but the guy's a nice guy. He's got 5 million followers, you know.
Speaking of Dustin, go ahead, man. Tell him.
Oh, no.
Tell him, dude. Tell them. They're just talking in the DMs, you know?
Yeah, so about 12 years ago, you know, I talked about it on here, me and Dustin training together. And I had a Facebook, you know, memory, and I was like, oh, crap. I was like, and I wrote out in the memory who all was there. And, you know, I took a screenshot of it, tagged him on Instagram on my story or whatever, and he shot me a message. He was like, good old days. And I'm like, good old days, bro? Like, you were barely in the UFC then, man. Like, nobody, you know, like he had made Fightville, you know, but it just came out. Yeah. Just came out. Have you seen Fightville?
No.
You need to watch Fightville, dude. You're going to have a whole.
What channel?
You guys have. It wasn't a channel. It's a documentary about Dustin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's a fight documentary about Dustin, his coach, and like the Louisiana fight scene. And some people around in there.
Nice.
And when he gets, like, before he's in the UFC. It's a really cool story. Anyways, he was starting to become a little popular then. So he was like, good old days. I was like, yeah. I was like, things are different now, blah, blah, blah. He was like, glad you're doing well, bro. You know, so.
Did they follow you?
I think he follows me. Yeah. He's been following me for a while.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I used to have his number. I mean, because we were training together for a week, so we'd have to like, hey, man, like, what time you want to train today? Mm-hmm. And things like that. That
just goes to show you, man. Like,
I mean, 5 million followers, and the dude, I tagged him when it's something random, you know, like,
right.
How many people are, like, I know how many tags I get throughout the day. Does he, like, is it like a separate little, oh, these are.
No, they probably just all show up in his inbox, and that's the reason why he doesn't see 80% of them.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Or you might have just caught him at the right time, bro. Like, he's just like.
Well, who knows, man?
Yeah, who knows, dude? That's still pretty cool.
But anyways, he just posted as well yesterday him working out with another dude that came down to train with us. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It's such a small fucking circle.
Small circle,
in that
man.
Realm, man.
Yep.
It really is. Like, it's just like, you know, just like radio. Tons of people that do it, you know, tons of big corporations, but everybody seems to know everybody, you know, which isn't always a good thing.
Right.
But
everything intertwined some way or another, dude.
What is it? Is it like the 6-person rule?
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation.
That's it. Where it's like, out of there's 6 people you know that know, you know, 6 other. I don't know. I forget how it goes, but
I know. I get you.
Yeah, and if you don't know, you can Google it.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah. But yeah. So if you haven't checked out Laurie Kavanagh, check that dude out. I'm telling you now. I'm calling it now here on the podcast. 2 years time, he will be flyweight champ.
All right.
I'm calling it now.
Heard it now.
The dude is serious. And after I watched the Contenders series fight, I went and I looked up his other fights. The dude is serious, man. He's serious. He's a killer.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's get out of here.
Let's wrap it up, B. Wrap that shit up, B. If you guys haven't seen Half Baked, that's what that's from. Anyways, thank you guys for locking in with us. We appreciate you. Please like, comment, share, subscribe with all your friends, family, co-workers, people you don't like. Be like, hey, look at this stupid podcast or something like that, you know. Be like, you should subscribe to this ridiculous podcast with these 2 dudes that are barefoot all the time. Anyways, thank you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. We do have some fighters in the academy here fighting coming up. We're going to do an embedded and shit on that. Those are always fun. And, I mean, this time it's going to be a bit different.
It's next weekend.
Yep, next weekend. Like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 from Academy Kickboxing.
It's basically, you know, Next Element Academy versus everybody on this. So it should be a good one. So that'll be up in, well, the week after next, I guess.
Week after next.
But, yeah, appreciate you guys. Till next time.
Later.